So you want to start a model horse collection, but you don't really know where to start. The best way to start collecting is just to start collecting. Buy the ones that you want. So basically, the first thing you should do is decide what size you want to collect in. There are pros and cons to every different size of briar. They're great. I love them. They have taken over my bedroom. The barns for them are really big. They're also really great because they have a lot of detail. You can pretty easily make tack for them. They also work with several different kinds of dolls. I use Barbie dolls a lot, but not the full-size Barbie dolls because they're too tall. But this doll here, this is a Stacy doll. She's about the right height for traditional briars. I also use Paradise Rider dolls. There's two different sizes of the Paradise Rider dolls, and these are the shorter size, so they work really well as kids or younger people. I also use the Briar dolls. Actually, she's a junior rider, so she's more of a kid size. But there's also adult ones, and there's classic riders that you can use as kids. So let's talk about the classics for a little bit. Classic horses, as you can see, are shorter. They're just as detailed as the traditionals nowadays. And their tack is still pretty easy to make. The classic barns you can find them at toy stores. I use my classics as traditional ponies because I mostly collect in traditional. But they actually do make riders in the classic scale. Also, a Barbie Kelly doll is about the right size. The third size is the Paddock Pal size. They're really hard to find right now because Briar stopped making this. It's a really good size to start with because it's small enough that you can build a pretty nice big barn and you don't have to take up your entire room. Also, you can buy the Schleich horses who are rubber instead of the plastic, so they're not as brittle. Schleich and what's the other one? Safari make really great little horses and horse sets and barns and riders and equipment. The tack for them is a little harder to make because it's so small, but still big enough that you can play with it and you can make films with it if you want. But like I said, the Briar brand is harder to find in this scale. I only have 4 of them. As you see, very small. They're a little bit brittle, and these little tiny legs can break. So if you're careful with them, though, you can play with them. If you want to be designing a big, crazy, stable that has 50 stalls, well, that would still be kind of huge. But you could definitely set up a nice barn. Their pastures are smaller, so yeah. Briar does sell barns for them, and they do sell riders and tack and little sets. Making tack for them is really hard, at least making tack that looks nice, because they're so tiny. I've only done it a couple of times, but I've seen some people do some pretty amazing stuff with them. So yeah, I definitely recommend these. But like I said, they do break easily, so don't throw them around. If you're an older collector, they're pretty good though. The last scale I'm going to talk about is the mini winnies, and as you can see, they're really tiny. They're also called micros, and you can see this one has shading and it has all the little eye details and everything. So it's a very, very small model. They're not made out of the same plastic though, so they're not as breakable. They're great for toys, as long as you're old enough not to swallow them. They're a little bit tricky to make videos out of because your fingers are going to be in the scene the whole time. They have barns for the mini winnies. I think they even have riders for the mini winnies. I would not recommend making mini winnie tack for a new tack maker. It's Like, you would need really thin tweezers, and it would just be hard. I don't think you could even make it without needing some kind of tacky wax or something. So, they're very, very small. They're great for playing with. If that's all you really want to do is play, you can build huge, fancy setups, and it doesn't take up as much space. They're durable. They're really nice looking. I mean, I recommend just, even if you collect a bigger scale, just get a bunch of them because they're fun. And you can use them in the traditional setups as briars. So you're probably wondering where you even find briars. If you want to buy briars, if you buy them brand new, they come in boxes that look like this. They're big yellow boxes. They're kind of hard to miss in stores. And I find a lot of my briars at like feed stores, Tractor Supply, sometimes at toy stores, thrift stores. You can also find them on eBay. Probably the cheapest way to get them on eBay is to buy like a lot of them. You know, like a sale lot. They're actually pretty sturdy. I wouldn't really recommend them as kids' toys, but if you're older, they're great. You can definitely play with them. Their paint isn't always the best. Sometimes it rubs off. Let's see, where's his? He's got paint rubs right there. He's one of my older ones. They will break if they fall really hard. The great thing about briars is that the plastic they're made out of is actually not that hard to fix if you know how. It's acetone based, so if you use an acetone based glue like epoxy, then it should work pretty well to stick them back together. But if you really need help fixing them, you can message me or, you know, look it up on YouTube. There's tons of videos on it. Please forgive me, my barn is a huge mess right now. I just wanted to show you that you have several different choices if you want to have a barn for your traditional briars. And I'm mostly going to show traditional because that's what I collect. So I've got this barn. It's a Maxim Groton Sally Fair barn. And usually it's about $300. I didn't spend that much. But usually it is kind of expensive. $300 to $400, I think. This is a really nice barn. It has 4 stalls. It has 2 here and 2 there. It has a tack room and a room up above that's a loft kind of thing that you can put feed or hay or whatever in. I painted it. It's not normally this color. It's normally like a green color, like that color. This is the other barn that I have with me right now. I think it's also a Maxim barn, not briar. I don't own a briar barn. Isn't that weird? But I don't. This is traditional scale, so it's nice and big. It has the biggest stalls of any barn I've seen. It's like the Grand Stable. I don't remember what it's called. Has a loft area up above. The roof comes off. These doors slide. Really nice. It's all made out of wood. I think I spent maybe $100 on it. You can get 1-stall barns. You can get smaller 2-stall barns. You can get run-in sheds. I know Briar sells them. You could probably find them on Amazon. So, there's choices. Another great thing you can get for your traditionals is the traditional trailer. It's really nice. I'm not going to pull it out right now, but mine has a few broken pieces, and from what I've seen, it doesn't hold up really well to rough play. There's also all kinds of equipment that you can get or make for your briars. Maybe my food fell out. Yeah. And again, I get a lot of my stuff at Paradise Horses. Well, I make a lot of stuff. I made this saddle, but not the saddle pad. I made it out of just scrap leather and a piece of a soda can and wire and glue. There are tutorials on YouTube for making tack, for making all kinds of things. You just have to look, they're out there. So to conclude, traditional briars are a little expensive and they take up a lot of space, but they're a lot of fun and they're the most popular model horses But you can also buy them online. There's like Utterly Horses for the UK. They sell them. There's eBay, there's Amazon. I think there's some other online places you can buy them. Have fun collecting!